Hello, Lorraine. It's lovely to see you. How are
Hiya.
you doing?
Yeah, all good, thanks.
Right, I'd like to introduce my very good friend Lorraine. And as you probably, I hope you've watched our last video, Lorraine and I talk about a lot of spiritual things. And so I'd like to introduce you to Lorraine Knight, who is my guest, and I'm her guest, if you like. But yes, so go and get yourself a cup of tea, freeze this or whatever, and make yourself a cup of tea. And we're going to be talking about an interesting subject tonight. And I'm going to let Lorraine tell you what we're going to be talking about.
Oh, thanks very much. Well, first of all, I've got my cup.
In your court.
Yeah. Well, I've got my cup of tea. I'm all ready. We're into dragons today. Yeah, I thought it'd be quite interesting to talk about guides and helpers and the difference between guides and helpers and how they can make a difference to us on our known spiritual pathway, and the differences between the energies that come to us. For instance, some people, they might have well, first of all, I suppose I better say what the difference between a guide and a helper is. My understanding of a difference, because of course yours might be different to mine. So my understanding of a spiritual guide is that a guide will help you with your spiritual development. That's going from one level of understanding to another. And my definition of a spiritual helper is an energy that comes in to help you with a situation. So is that sort of how you see it, Angela? Yeah. Okay. So I know that
yes, I also see
I think we've got them with us now because I'm itching all over.
No, what with the guys that my understanding of guys, as you say, is the spiritual helpers, and the guys, as we refer to them, as doorkeepers.
Right,
okay,
right.
That protect us at all times.
Yes.
And I understand that we've got two guys that constantly work with us all the time.
Right.
And it's like the guide that's with us through all of our life journeys.
Yes.
Our past lives, and present life that we've got. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says these the doorkeepers, and they just protect us from entities or whatever, whatever is around us, really.
Yes.
And also, I feel they help us with lessons as well.
Yes.
Because they may let certain people in to help with a lesson, and you keep on thinking when you're going through it, you think, why did they do that? Why did they make me go through that situation?
Yeah, yeah.
And that is because you've got a lesson to learn at that particular time.
Yes.
But if you're going through that lesson, your guide would never ever put you into a situation that you can't handle.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. Even though I have to say that some situations have been quite I suppose if I didn't know what I knew now, I would say frightening. But when I look back, I can understand what I had to learn by them, especially being a teacher. But yeah, absolutely. They do say you're not ready. If it happens to you, you're ready for it, or at least at one level.
Yeah. Yeah. You think you do when there are times when you think to yourself you get abandoned by your guys, but you haven't actually. They've just taken a step back. I mean, me personally, when I first came into the spiritual movement, I was constantly in a relationship with my guides. I constantly wanted to know information. You were probably like that as well, and constantly like going into meditation is what they say, where you can meet your guides and talk to them, and they will tell you what certain things they teach you and everything else. And I was doing all of that, and then until I got to a point when I don't know what happened, but I don't know who my guide is.
No,
They,
no.
there were times when I just felt as though they just have to step back and just let me get on with it.
Mm,
But now I don't know who they are.
no.
I can't meditate, and because my mind is just constantly on the,
Yeah,
and I'm sure everybody's like it. Everybody goes into a meditation with great and good intentions and all the rest of it, and
mm,
all of a sudden things outside starts creeping in, don't they? And
definitely.
start taking over in your mind, and you think, well, is that my imagination? In my imagination, is that what I want,
Yeah.
or is it spirit?
Mm,
And so I've stopped meditating, and I've tended to listen to spirit in a different way.
mm,
They still get through to me.
yes.
And I believe sitting down with a pen and paper and writing, linking with spirit, spirit tells me what they want me to know through
Yes.
writing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just hear it just flow through that
Yes.
way.
Yes.
So have you had that experience?
Yeah. I mean, when I first started doing meditation and things like that, I remember when I went to my first beginner circle at church, it was a group of about 12 people, so it's quite a large group, and everybody was getting like these amazing things happening.
Yeah.
Some people had got your Native American Indians come through, other people had got animals. There were so many different ones. And I remember sitting in the chair thinking, they're having a laugh, aren't they? Because I wasn't at the time getting
Yeah.
anything. And they were coming out with such wonderful, weird and wonderful things. Um, I and I wasn't, I didn't at all. But I remember one meeting where all of a sudden, I mean, I wasn't even getting visions or anything. I was getting the purple coming towards me, which at the time I was told, well, yes, that means you've got a spiritual link. And I remember all of a sudden seeing myself as a little girl, even though I was really in my late 30s. And I was holding the hand of this man, and we were waiting to cross the road. And I kept going to step off onto the road and then kept backing away. And then all of a sudden, I went across the road in this vision, in this meditation, and this man came with me and he held my hands all the time. And he had such a lovely, warm feeling. And then I realised what it was with the help of my teacher. I was actually scared of letting go and going into the meditation. So I was sort of stopping myself. I would relax to a certain point, but then I wouldn't go any further. And it was at that point where I needed to go further to start getting more coming in. So it took me a long time to do that. The funny thing was, the gentleman, he looked like my father, but he wasn't my father. I actually saw him in photographs years later and in an out of body experience. And when I asked my father had passed away by then, and I asked one of my relatives on my dad's side, and apparently he was a cousin of my dad's, and he looked very similar. So he'd actually come in as a helper. He wasn't a guide. He was actually helping me get over that fear. Once I did that, I got on quite well, but it was still a long time before I saw anything, I must admit. And I do hear a lot of stories where people will get bombarded with lots of different people coming in, guides, helpers and everything right near the beginning, and then all of a sudden they pull away, and it's almost like dangling the carrot. We've got you where we want you, and now we're going to see if you stay there, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
My I must admit, I do count myself very blessed, because I do meet a lot of my guides via dreams. They usually introduce themselves to me in dreams 6 months to a year before they actually start working with me. And that was nice. But the first time that happened, again, I was very scared. And I remember laying on the settee downstairs. The television was on and my husband and children were playing games or whatever, and I was dozing on the settee. And I remember having this floating sensation, and all of a sudden I saw this man in an Arab outfit, with he stared straight at me, and it was really disconcerting, and it sort of brought me out of my sleep. And I thought, what on earth is that? And then a couple of years later, I sat in the circle, and he came forward again, and he told me his name was Ahmed, and he was my life guide, i.e. the same as what you spoke about, the one who is with me in each incarnation. And yeah, it was very scary, I have to say. But yeah, I did get used to it. I did get used to it after a while. Yeah. Have you had any more sort of experiences around guidance? You'll have to excuse me. The energy is really like, I want to go like that. They're obviously all here.
It's like cobwebs, isn't it? When they're sort of around, you know.
Yeah. Feels like someone's tickling you.
Well, the experiences I've had with guys, and I'm sure a lot of people have had these experiences, is that it's like we may be driving along the road, and we do our normal routes, you know, for example, going from the shops or whatever through the town and going home, taking our normal. And I've had this several times, or even when we've gone out for a drive into the country or whatever, and I get a voice in my head, and it's just to say, do not go down that road. Whatever you do not go down, do not go that way, or, you know, go a different way. I've had warnings of that. I never found out why it happened.
No.
I don't want to find out what happened, you know.
Because you was a good girl and you didn't go down.
You know, they're always sort of telling me, you know, don't go down that way or whatever. And so, yeah, that's my sort of experience. Because with my guys, I don't actually see them, but I hear them.
Right.
They talk to me.
Yeah.
And they might say some stupid things, you know, and I'll burst out laughing, you know, and I say, what? You know, because the people tend to think, you know, with guys that they're very serious, but yes, they're all guys were human. They were human ones. They still got that personality.
Yeah.
And you know, guys, one of the other things I found very, very handy having a guide is the helpers, especially, is that if you've got a particular predicament, or you need help, you need guidance, or, for example, I mean, I used to make wedding cakes, okay? And this is really before I came into spiritualism, but now I know it's the guide all the time. And whenever there was a problem, I used to say, right, that's it. I've had 2 attempts. I'm not going to do any more. I'm going to sleep on it. So after I've been to sleep, Spirit showed me exactly what to do.
Right.
Falling into play. And it's like with writing. Or whatever we're doing with our everyday lives, we can always call upon a guide to come in, specialise in that particular field, you know. Found them enormously helpful.
Yes.
Really have. And but have you ever found that everybody's guys are Indians, Indians, what is it, Buddhas and all
Yeah.
the rest of it. I mean, David's got a chimney sweep. He had a chimney
Yeah.
sweep,
Yeah.
and he's like Cockney boy, and then
Yeah.
sometimes you might hear his voice change.
Okay.
And yeah, he had a chimney, the old
Yeah.
chimney. But
Yeah.
you know, we've all got all these Native Americans, but they could be dustmans and
Oh,
cleaners.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
Even our only loved ones, our loved ones can even be.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think it is whatever is whatever energy you are in alignment with, and also what you can accept. Because of course, if you don't realize what's happening on your spiritual pathway, it can be very frightening. So of course, guides will quite often come in on an energy that they know you will accept. So if they, for instance, are, if say their galactic energy was a star being, maybe, I don't know, let's just say a dragon or a reptilian or something like that, or something otherworldly, if they came to you in that form, especially a star being, and you'd only just started on your spiritual progression, then it might frighten the life out of you. So they would manipulate the energies and come in as something that you would accept. So it's far easier to be friendly with a chimney sweep, a human type energy, than it is an energy that's out of this world. And even though in here you remember it, obviously in here you don't, not until the time's right. So it's, and you know, I mean, I had a I've got a cat, I've got quite a few cats around me that were my cats and have passed on. And one in particular was brought back to me by a woman called Victoria. And after he passed away. And he said a wonderful thing. And he said to me, when you are going through any sad times, or when you are going through times that are uncertain, he said, think of me and I'll be there. And I haven't been through those times recently, but he has made his presence known, I must admit. And I've even seen him when I've not been at home, but I've been in other places. I went down to stay with a friend a little while ago. And as I got in her car for her to take me back to the train station, he got in the car as well. And I didn't even know he'd been there. So they will, they will come in a way that you will accept, you know. And I suppose, I know that some guides will come without any form at all. Some of them can come on a colour or a vibration. You might say sense a change in vibration, and as you're sensing it, you know that that's your guide, because that's the way they come to you, you know. Have you had any, you know, when they come to you and they say, if one wears a hat, you might feel his energy of the hat on your head, and then you'll know that one's with you. Have you had anything like that yourself?
Do you know what I've had? It smells.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Smells. I you know, I get a cigarette smell, and from what I understand, my father used to smoke.
Right.
So I can smell that.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I might get a very sweet flower smell. Don't know who that was connected to, but I think if it's coming in, then you may get a dream, or you know, synchronicity or something that happens, and you keep on seeing that same thing where they keep on trying to show you.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
the same picture, the same word or
Mm.
same number.
Yeah.
And eventually they get it across, and they sort of, and then it clicked, and you think, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I acknowledge you, you know, and
Yeah.
that's how they can come through in that way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
guys, they're very clever people, aren't they? If they want you to notice them, they will make sure that you notice
Oh,
them.
yeah. 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 They draw your attention to what is applicable to you, or what you can make sense of.
Yeah,
So what I found is, it's like if you read, say, the divination cards or tarot cards, or if you
yeah,
work with crystals and you read crystals, certain crystal or card might mean something to me, but it could be mean a totally different to you. And
yeah,
if the guides, the energies that draw close to you, realize that, say for you, a red shoe means a new pathway, then they will
yeah,
give that to you, knowing you know what that meaning is.
yeah,
Whereas a red shoe to someone else might mean something totally different, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, they're very much on a personal level of what makes sense to you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
really.
I mean,
Mm.
it's not just people, as you said, the colours and that, but I'm finding, and I think I'm hearing, that more and more animals are actually coming in and interacting more. Spirit
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
As you know, that I'm registered blind. You know,
Mm.
I used to have Timber, my guide dog,
Mm.
and I had such a close relationship with Timber that I felt he came here to teach me.
Yeah.
He was my teacher, even though he was helping me, he was guiding me and doing all the things that we needed to do. But I'm getting quite emotional because every time I think about him, you know,
Yeah.
he was an amazing animal, and you
Yes.
met him.
Yeah.
He, I think he taught me about love.
Mm.
You know, I can't explain it, but he was an so special. He
Yes.
really was so special. And I feel that he was my guide. He came here to teach me a lesson. There was
Yeah.
just something. And I know I learned a lot from him. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
animals, don't just dismiss animals. I mean, as you said about your cat,
Mm.
animals are here but for a reason, and they
Mm.
teach so much. If
Yes.
we only acknowledge them for what they are.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
spiritual, you know,
Yeah.
spiritual
Yeah.
beings in
Mm.
their own right, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Mm.
it's like I had a past life, and I was an Indian apparently. And as an Indian boy, you know, in the tribe, you had to prove yourself, didn't you?
Yeah.
Become a man. You know,
Mm.
I wouldn't take part in this tribe. I had no interest in it at all.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think I must have been about 13, 14 years old. I had a wolf,
Mm.
and of all things, I called her she, a she wolf. Okay, I spent my life with this wolf,
Yeah.
such an extent that the boy's father, my father, was
Mm.
so ashamed of me, and he thought, you know, he's bringing embarrassment to the tribe. He thought, right, how am I going to sort this situation out? So what he did was, which was, excuse me, which was awful, he killed the wolf in front of me.
Right.
So when that happened, I went straight into the forest, and I had no more connection
Mm.
with the Indian whatsoever. I lived the rest of my life in the forest. Now, she-wolf has come to me in many guises.
Right.
She's come to me in dreams. She's come to me in I see certain dogs that looks like her, you know,
Right.
and I think, okay, she's around.
Yeah.
So that's she's as a guide, you know,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
yeah, that's another weird way of spirit trying to get your attention, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Mm.
so yeah, uh, yeah, and you know what? Would you believe it? I can't stand Native American Indian. Sorry,
Oh,
it's something to do with my past life.
right.
Once I found out about it, I could understand why I don't have that connection with Native.
Okay. Okay. Have you found out about it or not
What?
yet? Why you don't
Um,
like that energy?
I think it's because of what happened to me all those years, you know,
Yes.
in the past life, you
Yes.
know, of what they did to me and what they did to my wolf.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
can't connect,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It
Apparently,
must.
I was told I shouldn't have gone into that life, but I was very insistent. But there you go.
Oh well, it may be that you could go into it in a meditation and do
Yeah,
a forgiveness thing. Ask
yeah,
it to be brought to your attention and then
yeah.
do a forgiveness thing. It's really strange that you should touch on that, because my father, he's passed away now, and he had an absolute dislike for, ironically, Arab people.
All right.
I always found that uh, part of the world fascinating, and those people. I've never been there, but I would like to one day. But he
Yeah.
didn't. He absolutely couldn't take them at all.
Mhm.
And I remember having a dream, and in my dream, we were walking up from the ocean up a beach, and this gentleman walked past in the long cotton outfits that they wear. And I remember my dad saying something really nasty, and me saying to him, "No, you can't say that. All people come from God, you know, and everything." And that was the end of the dream. And I thought, well, that was a bit strange. Anyway, years later, when I was having out of body experience, that was lovely. Well, I could tell you about that another time. That was amazing. But I'll cut a long story short. I had quite a few visitors that night in my living room when I was out of body, and the door opened, and this woman popped her head round my door and said, "Your dad's going to be late. He's having a test." And I knew immediately that the test he was having was regarding his utter dislike for Arab gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah.
And he obviously passed, because the last time that I actually saw him out of body, he was actually wearing an outfit, not the head
Oh
part,
wow.
excuse me.
Yeah,
Sorry, he was wearing an outfit very similar to what they wore, and
yeah,
he was so happy. So I knew that he had passed that test, and it
yeah,
just goes to show that some things that happen are so deep seated within us that, you know, we do receive an understanding when we pass over if we haven't done it before, but we don't automatically accept it just because we've passed over. If it's really
yeah.
deeply ingrained, we still have to heal that situation or that energy. So
Mm.
I'm just so pleased that, you know, my dad, he obviously was very happy when he passed over, because he was, you know, back to like no pain and all this sort of thing, but he still had issues. So the fact that he's actually dealt with that now is wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, you're saying about Timber. I do remember, obviously remember Timber, such a lovely. And you've actually written a couple of books about him, haven't you? Or one book.
Timber, yes.
Yeah,
I have.
What?
I've got Timber's story and his point of view, living with a spooky lady.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
like a children's book. So, I mean, a children's book teaching about guide dogs. And because that was another thing. He came here also to teach other people as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
So, I learned, like I said, I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he has helped me, and he's inspired me to help other people.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, do you still feel him around? Like, as I'm talking to you, I have a sense of him coming round your legs, or
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
I might feel his head on my lap, because he
Yeah.
always used to do that. He used to come and put his head on my lap.
Yeah.
And or David would say, Tim was around, you know when you get that doggy smell when they're wet?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite pungent, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And David says, Tim was around, I can smell him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Oh,
mean, he's not around so much now as he
no.
was.
No.
I suppose, yeah, he's got to get on with his work. He's got
Yeah.
his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever his journey is. Bless
That's
him.
it. That's it. I went to a Diana Cooper Angels, I think it was Angels meeting up in where was it? Up in London quite a few years ago, and she did a talk on animals, and I don't actually remember a lot of it, if I have to say, but she was saying about how different types of animals originate from different planets, and that was very interesting. And that they come here and then they go back to their original planets. I thought, I have to look into that. I haven't done yet, but yeah, that's quite good. I've seen lots and lots of spirit animals. I must admit, I do. I've had lots of helper animals come to me in dreams. And the helper animal, it's like, the best one that I can explain is when I used to go around serving at all the different churches. I used to travel with quite often. My mum would come with me. And we went down to this church at Deal. It wasn't a church actually, at Deal in Kent. Daphne, I can't think what her surname. Yes, she ran it. That's it, in the angling club. Anyway, excuse me, as I'm driving down there, of course it's getting quite dark and the roads are quite narrow, and I don't like driving where I don't know, especially at night. And as I'm driving, in my mind, I've said, give me the eyes of a hawk, knowing that whenever I feel unsure of where I'm going, or if the roads are busy, I just say, like, give me the eyes of a hawk so that I can see better. Well, Spirit then said to me, no, we won't give you the eyes of a hawk. We will give you the eyes of a rabbit. Of course, because it was getting dark, wasn't it? And rabbits can see in the dark and hawks obviously can't. And actually, that really made me realise that, yeah, we do say spirit are with us all the time, guiding us and helping us, but that proved by no ends that, I was being looked after as I drove, and they were very aware of my needs. They won't tell you what to do. It's always going to be your choice, but they will definitely guide you. And I think people don't always realise how they can guide you, because it's not, you're not always going to hear it, are you, as a voice? Like you said, you get, a smell. Sometimes you will just get drawn to things. And when I was pregnant with, I think it was my second child, Glenn, I'd been ill quite a lot, and I remember thinking, I just can't be bothered to cook a dinner. I am so tired, and I just wanted to sort of lounge around and not do anything. Well, I obviously hadn't eaten very well for quite a while, because I laid on the settee and all of a sudden I could smell this roast dinner. Or I should say, before that, I thought, I'm going to pick Richard up from school and we'll go down to McDonald's. And I was really looking forward to it. But I laid on the settee. I'd got about an hour or so before I had to get ready and go up to school. And I could smell a roast dinner right under my nose. I could smell the gravy, the meat, the vegetables. It was gorgeous. And I woke up. It was really like someone had put it there. And I had the feeling of my gran, who had passed away by then. And I thought, I really want a roast dinner now. So with that, I went up to the school, and on the way back, instead of going down the road to have a burger and chips, which had probably done me no good at all, I actually went in the opposite direction and bought a load of veg up and cooked up a roast dinner when I get home, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I knew that, you know, that was like my gran saying, no, that's not any good for you. That's not going to do you any good at all. Have this instead. And it blooming well works.
I've not had that happen.
Yeah.
Oh, you're lucky. You can actually see spirit. And I think, you know, with my eyesight, because the way it is, I can't. You know, but with spirit, they use my other senses. And my other senses is the sense that I know someone's around. You know, you can just feel them. And especially when you get the hairs going up at the back of your neck. You think,
totally.
Or the other one they use is my sense of smell. So because the ears of I'm deaf as well. I might as well go for the whole thing. But you know, when some people might say, well, hang on a minute, you say you're deaf, how can you hear them? But you're hearing them. It's like an impression. They're putting an impression of voice into your head. You can hear them. And it's just like as if they're beside you, talking to you.
It's
just as though they're sitting on your shoulder. And you know, you've got the angel and the devil. It's a bit like that. And they're sort of talking away. And they don't whisper in my ear, they talk.
They talk.
You know? So they use my other senses, even though my eyes and my ears are absolutely rubbish. But spirit will always get through to you. Even in the demonstrations, it's like as though someone is taking control of my mouth. And you know, they're just putting the words in, and it's just flowing. So they will help and utilize everything that that works in your body. Sort of
Absolutely.
It's amazing how they do it. It really is.
Well, I found out, it was only the other week actually, because a friend of mine was saying, like you, I don't see spirit. She said, and I don't hear spirit. She said, but I sense spirit. She said, but I don't know how it works. And then all of a sudden I got all this information through. And what came through was, when you sense spirit, they gave me the image of like a submarine where it uses its sonar and it picks up all the ridges along the ocean. And that's what they said. When you sense spirit close to you, what you're doing is your vibration is picking up the distortions in the vibration close to you. And them distortions are what give a picture, where it's not a picture we're going to see with our clairvoyance, you know, here or here, but it sort of imprints the image on our minds, and that's how we sense it. And I thought that was such a good explanation, because you know, you see that, don't you, on the programs, and you can relate to that. And it's, I mean, even though I've talked about well, it's clairsentience, isn't it, when you sense something, even though I've talked about that, it's actually finding out how it works just makes it more understandable. So it's like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, picking up on the distortions in the vibration around you. So yeah, I was like, well, something else I've learned. Jot it down. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh, it is funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we seem to cover quite a range about the guys and the energies and all the rest of it, you know.
Yes.
Do you feel you've got a special message coming from the spirit at this particular that can sort of help somebody, or?
Well, actually, as you're talking, because my mind, like anybody else's, goes, "Ooh, what are we going to do?" And then they give it to me in a totally different way. It's very hard to stop your mind going in, which I don't think, no matter how long you do it, it's always the thing that your mind's going to kick in. So as I was thinking about what am I going to get, all of a sudden I was presented with a picture, and it's actually a picture of a rainbow and a bridge. Okay. And funnily enough, obviously talking about animals, they do say that they go over Rainbow Bridge, the animal spirit lands. So I do feel that there is a message there as well for someone that has just lost an animal, that doesn't know. I need to say that they will come back to you via Rainbow Bridge, okay, to make their presence known. But also I'm being made very aware that people are losing something, and within losing something, they're actually making them turn their lives around and come back stronger. That's the image that I'm being given. So the rainbow represents the end of suffering, I'm being told, and this is on I feel this is on a global level. Okay, so the rainbow is representing the end of suffering, and coming back across the bridge, seeing things from a different perspective. So much like I spoke about earlier about, you know, people when they pass away, they see things from a different perspective, or you know, learn their lessons. But we're not having to actually pass away. We're just losing something, but within losing something, it's like we're going to find ourselves again. So I get the impression that for lots of people there are going to be major life changes, and some things are maybe going to be very disruptive, but in retrospect it's going to put people right where they should be. That's the feeling that I have, and I just can't get away from this picture. It's I'm sure I've got the picture on my old laptop actually. So you've got the long grass, you know, sort of swaying in the winds, the bridge and the rainbow coming across, and the rainbow is very delicate in colour. You know, it's not harsh and it's not bright, and I think that's just about the subtle energies. Because quite often when we go through things, sometimes it can seem like spirit fall right back and drop away from us and leave us to get on with it. But I think the thing is, when we're going through emotional stuff, they're not always full on, because we, especially if we've lost someone that's on the earth plane, you know, we have to do things in a human way, and we have to grieve in a human way, because that's part of, you know, what we're here to understand. So there are times when spirit will pull back, especially if we've got a lot of emotional stuff going on in our life. But it doesn't mean that we can't send that thought up and still get ideas and, you know, comfort through. It just means that they understand, because a lot of them have lived here before, and they know, you know, if you're going through something emotional, you need to concentrate on that. So I think it's very important for people to know that they've not been forgotten. I know that's the big thing, isn't it? You know, that you can feel like,
but you know, the way the world is at the moment, you know, people probably are thinking that that they are forgotten or left to one side, sort of thing, but they're not.
No.
Probably, as you're saying, there is that they are going back to put next stages into place for that person's journey, and sort of come back and say, okay, this is what's going to be happening, or what can happen if you choose to go down the path. I mean, because as you was talking, I also had the vision of a golden eagle. Just circling. You know, I don't know what the meaning of a golden eagle is, but to me, it's a powerful strength, protective animal. You know, they take what they need for themselves, and maybe that's what's happening in this world. People needing to take things, but don't take too much.
I think it is part of our part of the self-care as well, because we spend so much time looking after other people and helping other people that we do forget that we are as important. I mean, there is a well-known saying, healer, heal thyself. It doesn't mean that you can't do anything if you're in need, but what it means is look after yourself as well.
Because if you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be any use to anybody else, are you?
No.
Because you've got to. You see, the problem is with people, they tend to think that they're not allowed to look after themselves. They can't put themselves first. They've got to keep giving their energy to other people.
And absolutely.
You don't seem to realise that. No, you really do need that strength for yourself. You are important. You are just as important as
that's it. We're not superhuman yet. Totally.
You know, don't feel guilty. Just go and pamper yourself and do all the things you need to do. Don't feel guilty, because that's a problem. I think we could talk about this all night, you know.
Definitely could do another chat about guilt and that sort of thing. Absolutely. It's almost like we go up one route and then there's like, we can talk about that, there's a bit more. But
definitely.
I mean, it is wonderful. There's absolutely no doubt about that, but it's not an easy pathway. If you're on your known, nearly knocked my tea over then. If you're on your known spiritual pathway, it's not all roses, not at all, is it? But you do learn a lot. I think also, not only do you learn what you do want, but you actually learn what you don't want as well.
Definitely.
So I think we've
had a good old chat tonight.
Yes, I think we're at the end of our chat. I know I'm almost at the end of my tea.
Mine's gone ages ago.
Oh, well, you take care of yourself.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, everybody who is watching our videos. Please like.
Yes.
I did it. Please like, share and subscribe. That would be absolutely wonderful, so that we can get to as many people as we can that may be helped with what we talk about. And boy, have we got a lot to talk about.
We certainly have.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll see you next time, Angela. You take care.
Yeah.
Love to you
Take care.
and love to all. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.